We're here at Frog Lake Sno-Park, Mount Hood National Forest here in Oregon. And are we in for a treat today, my friends? We are doing Twin Lakes Lollipop Hike, approximately 7.3 miles, 1,100 foot elevation gain. Today is January 15th, 2026. Research AllTrails determined pretty low matted down trail, so I've deployed my YakTrax Summit. No snowshoes for this hike. So my itinerary for today is to do this hike up to Lower Twin Lake and Upper Twin Lake, come back down the PCT, that's what makes it the Lollipop. I'm gonna do a pit stop at my car. I'm parked at Frog Lake Sno-Park here, then I'm gonna go over and actually hike to Frog Lake proper and walk on the shoreline of the gorgeous frozen lake. That's about 2 miles round trip. This is 7.3 miles, putting together in about 9.3 miles. 1,200 foot elevation gain across the two, 1,100 and 100. So that is my plan for today. Let's go get our hiking on. I did read on AllTrails there's a lot of trees down on the trail, a lot of blowdown, but shouldn't be a problem. We can walk around it or over it. And speak of the devil, got our first dinosaur step. Kind of a weird weather pattern. Today is a high of 46, low of 37. So it's not even gonna get below freezing in this area. Roads were perfectly clear. Coming from Central Oregon, the Madras area. I'm the only car in the parking lot hiking. So shouldn't be anybody else on the trail. My favorite setup. I gotta say, there's something about this cold, brisk mountain air. It feels good for the soul. It's got a refreshing, rejuvenating, life-affirming quality to it. I just smell that, and it's a proprietary blend of Mount Hood National Forest, all the trees, and I think the cold makes it hit harder, but it just feels good. I love how they've carved this out. It makes it a very convenient step. We'll step across here. So the trailhead at Frog Lake Sno-Park for this Twin Lakes loop is about 3,900 feet. And this first segment is about 1.3 miles on the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, one of the best trails in the United States of America and planet Earth. So we will be turning right at 1.3 miles onto Twin Lakes Trail, aptly named, as it will take us to both Lower and ultimately Upper Twin Lake. Lower Twin Lakes, about 4,300 feet. As I said, trailhead's 3,900 feet, so don't need a calculator to know that approximately 400 feet higher. Oftentimes you have little machinations in the trail, so your net elevation gain's a little higher than that, but that's our first segment. As I said, the overall loop is 1,100 feet elevation gain, 7.3 miles. So you got more elevation gain up to Upper Twin Lake, over back to the junction with PCT. If you were to keep going down the PCT, you'd ultimately get to the Barlow Pass Sno-Park, which I have been to before, and I have videos of that available on the channel as well. But we're not doing that. It doesn't make sense from this side. From this side, we're just getting to that junction, turning left, coming back down PCT back to Frog Lake Sno-Park, which is our base camp for today's adventuring festivities. I gotta say, this is my first winter adventure hike this year. I'm ashamed to admit, today being January 15, 2026, we had a really late snow this year, the latest I've ever seen. As I am a resident of Central Oregon in this area, I track the patterns closely each year, and I've never seen such a delayed snow season. So this is my first one. Hoping to do a flurry here the next few weeks, get my winter adventuring on. I did research AllTrails, and it was very clear from recent trip reports that this was very doable with YakTrax. So I much prefer to use YakTrax over snowshoes. First of all, I can walk and talk like I am right now and actually make a video. Second of all, it's just way lower burn rate as far as your energy. You can do a lot more mileage in YakTrax than you can in snowshoes by definition. So I'm hoping to do a 2-pack. I gotta say, I love this old growth forest. I love Mount Hood National Forest. This is such a beautiful area. I gotta say, there's also something about this cold, brisk air. We're only at about 4,000 feet, but that proprietary blend of Mount Hood National Forest, mix of the particular species of trees here, as I step over yet another log. Oh, we have our first patch of no snow. Must have good canopy cover above. Yeah, something about this air, like, I don't know, it's refreshing. It's soul rejuvenating and life affirming. It just feels good. I get out here and I'm huffing the forest and I'm digging it. Nature's high, right? So, feels good. I'm a big believer that hiking, wilderness adventuring is in itself a bit of a healthy addiction. It's habit forming. The more I hike, the more I want to hike. But I think it's the quintessential definition of a healthy habit. Get the endorphins going, get out here in nature. It's just good for the soul, good for the mind, body, and soul, really. So I could not be a bigger proponent of wilderness adventuring. Man, there's lots of little obstacle course things here. Fortunately for me, I am sprite like a puma. Friends call me Jaguar. Okay, that's not true. But I'm nimble enough to maneuver the obstacle course, otherwise known currently as the Twin Lakes Lollipop Hike. Wow. This is really a lot of blowdown. Almost didn't know which way to go on the trail for a minute, but I think it's this way. Well, fingers crossed. I gotta say, this is some of the worst blowdown I've ever seen on this trail. This is a major hiking trail in the area. And right here, straight ahead, is actually the trail. Look at all that blowdown. The huge storm the last week or two, they were forecasting 3 to 4 feet of snow, 45, 55 mile per hour winds. And I guess it wreaked havoc here, Mount Hood National Forest. But that is not normal to have that big of a blockage on the main trail. This is, after all, the PCT, and this is one of the main snow parks in the area. So I'm surprised. Actually hasn't been cleared yet, but I don't know how fresh it is. I'm sure that will happen. I've done this trail many a times. Never seen that level of blowdownage, which I will use as an adjective. Very interesting. Yeah, so far it's like by far the most trees I've ever seen down. Like, this is essentially an obstacle course right now, but not a complaint. I actually don't mind the obstacle course component. I'm not necessarily requiring a pristine, perfectly manicured, groomed trail. I kind of like the variety. This is a live environment. This is, after all, a major national forest. Of course, there's going to be these type of developments from the winter weather. So I highly recommend, before you ever go on a hike, particularly in winter, that you check the AllTrails trip reports, get a sense of the conditions. Made it very clear that snowshoes were not necessary. You can get away with YakTrax, and they were right. So I would hate to be in clunky snowshoes right now for no reason. A lot of bare patches of forest underneath the canopy. So there's another little obstacle. Here's another obstacle. Like every 20, 30, 50 feet, there's another down tree. This is crazy. I think I will go underneath as we continue along. Still in that 1.3 mile segment to turn right to Lower Twin Lake. Man, don't want to be a broken record, but I've just never seen this much blowdown on this trail. This is crazy. Like, it's just, I don't know, I've already had 7, 8, 9, and here's another one. It's just blowdown city. This is crazy. For a trail as well manicured as this is kind of shocking, actually. Not anything that isn't overcomable, but still, Oh, that's a giant tree that came down. Look at this thing. Right in the middle of the trail. I don't even know which way to go. So that was the most gnarly obstacle so far, to climb over several trees. My derriere is now wet, but what can you do, right? Got another little snow patch here that I will gracefully slide over like a panther. That's why I'm glad I have my YakTrax on. So I gotta say, one of the interesting things about wilderness adventuring is you can do all of the research you want on the front end. I went and looked at AllTrails, got the most recent trip reports, which was helpful, and you should always do that. But you never really know what you're gonna experience till you get on the trail. This is a little different than I was expecting. It's patches of icy snow, so I'm glad I have my YakTrax Summit on. But a lot of patches of just dirt underneath the canopy. So I thought it was going to be more of a continuous snow winter wonderland situation, but again, the 25-26 winter season is particularly late and light in its snow volume, to be determined if that's compensated for later in the year or if it just ends up being a light year. But this is not what I was expecting. Normally by mid-January, being January 15th, 2026, this whole area should be a well-established winter wonderland. Like, it should be all white. I've never seen this much bare, naked dirt forest mid-January, Mount Hood National Forest area. We are in the 3,900 to 4,300 foot range in this segment. And yeah, that's not incredibly high in the scheme of things, but vis-a-vis the snow melt, snowfall, snow levels, it should be winter wonderland. So bizarre year. Frankly, a bit of a frustrating year, because we have this Sno-Park system from November 1st to April 30th. And so come November, I'm often excited to get my winter adventuring on, and really sat all of November unable to do any winter adventuring. Sat most of December unable to do any winter adventuring. Very frustrating, stunted season for a winter adventure. So this is actually my first one of the year, January 15th. And even look at this, I mean, it's just patches of snow. Previous years, this should be a winter wonderland. Like, this should be invoking snow globe vibes, but instead it's just basically dirty forest, some patches of snow. When I was coming here, I was hoping for that snow globe vibe. I've been here before, where the whole place is just a gorgeous winter wonderland, and the trees are like snow flecked, and around every corner it looks like a postcard. And frankly, I was kind of hoping for that vibe today, but clearly I have been hoisted by my own petard. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. I was hoping for a more intimate snow globe experience here on Twin Lakes Lollipop hike, but instead I'm just getting like, this is giving me November vibes, even though it's January 15th. Like, that's that transition period from, in fall, where you got the first couple snows, but you haven't gotten a full coating. That's kind of this vibe, but it's January 15th. So enjoying my first trail snacks, and Quest peanut butter coated candies. And now we're getting some thick snowage, very exposed area without the tree canopy cover, and it is actually slightly thick. Still YakTraxable. Generally speaking, having done this trail many times, it's very rare you really need to deploy snowshoes for the Twin Lakes loop. I think you can almost always get away with YakTrax because it's such a heavily traveled traffic trail, as being a primary snow park, kind of a winter snow play vector that it's pretty matted down. There's a pretty high volume of traffic. So for that reason, you can virtually always get away with YakTrax. I would never snowshoe this personally. Now, if there's a crazy year of snow, nobody's been here, I guess you could get an alignment, but that's a rare exception. this is so beautiful. This is my first time being on snow for this winter season. I live in Madras in Central Oregon. We haven't had any snow so far this year, so my first time seeing the white stuff. Digging it. We're definitely steadily gaining elevation. It's a pretty well graded trail, so it doesn't feel like anything crazy. If you are a seasoned wilderness adventurer, this is a pretty basic hike. Nothing too crazy, but 7.3 miles, 1,100 foot elevation gain. Big difference if you do it with YakTrax or snowshoes. If you know with snowshoes, that is a trek. Snowshoes are exhausting to wear, a whole different burn rate on your metabolism, your energy management. You can only go a fraction of the distance on snowshoes than you can, let's say, on YakTrax. YakTrax are essentially glorified summer style hiking. You can walk normal. You don't have the weight on your feet, on your ankles, so you don't burn through your energy anywhere near as fast. YakTrax are almost the same distance range hike as a summer hike, maybe slightly shorter. I'd say maybe like 80-90%. 80-90% of what you can do in summer, you can do in YakTrax. You get a little resistance from the snow, but if you wear the right kind of shoes, wear light boots, throw your YakTrax on. Like I would wear light Gore-Tex boots. The ones I'm wearing happen to be kind of a rare find. They're Norse Project. They have the Vibram Arctic grip on them, which is good for ice. Not really helping me because I got YakTrax between the boots and the sole of the boots and the snow, so I'm not really utilizing the Arctic grip. But what's cool about these shoes is they're super light, but they're Gore-Tex and they have all the right tech. So I got no ankle sting. Don't feel like I'm lugging giant boots that are making my ankles hurt. So I'd say wear as light of boots as you can that are Gore-Tex waterproof, and throw your YakTrax over them. And then you could pretty much go probably 80-90% of what your normal range is on a summer hike. Obviously elevation being a big factor as well. But so really 7.3 miles, 1,100 feet, not really anything too daunting. That's why I'm hoping to also add Frog Lake, a couple miler onto this. One-stop shopping BOGO situation out of Frog Lake Sno-Park. As far as Frog Lake, it's not really the trail itself because you're essentially walking down a forest road. It's just cost doing business segment to get to the lake. The fun part about Frog Lake is not a picturesque forest hike like this one is, in theory, Twin Lakes. The value proposition of Frog Lake is the actual shoreline. Like you hike to the shoreline about a mile and you walk on the edge of a frozen shoreline. I would not walk on the frozen lake. If you do that, that's very dangerous. Do so at your own risk. I would not recommend doing that. I would not do that personally. I think that is dangerous AF. But I think it would be gorgeous to walk in the day use area, the picnic area on the shoreline adjacent to the lake and enjoy the incredible views. I gotta say, as far as winter hikes, this has a bit of a weird vibe because you notice we got some accumulated snow on the ground, which is great, but all the trees are like green like it's summer. So I do prefer it when this area's got that snow globe vibe where all the trees are like snow flecked. You feel like you're just like walking through a little snow globe and snow's falling and the trees are dusted with beautiful white and trails dusted, and you can kind of get a snow globe tunnel vision, I call it, where you just feel like you're walking through a snow globe. It could be pretty magical. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping for that today here, but that's just not the set of conditions, so you gotta roll with it. So it's still beautiful, but feels like a juxtaposition because the trees are giving me full like fall, summer, no snow on them whatsoever. And then we have kind of just a few inches, under a foot of accumulated snow on the forest floor. So it's interesting. Got our blue diamonds. In my family, we call those blue diamond Phillips. I don't know why. Those typically are like every quarter mile. So the idea is if it was really heavy snow, you wanted to track your distance, you just look at the blue diamonds. That's why they're also really high up on the trees, is in theory, if you got feet and feet of snow accumulation, it wouldn't actually be that high because you would be a couple feet higher than I am right now. But that is not how it is today, my friend. Well, we had a long period of no blowdowns, but here's another one. We will navigate across this. Looks like the flow of traffic's been going to the right. It's easier to step over it on this side, having to take a dinosaur step on the main trail. So we'll take the path least resistance, come over here, and we did it. Now look at this, we're getting to some lot thicker snow. See now, this is slightly more challenging for the YakTrax. Still YakTraxable, still not regretting my decision, but we'll have some post-holing, as they say. But there's a kind of a thin veneer of ice on top of the snow, which helps with the gription on the YakTrax. But I wouldn't have wanted to do that first mile or so of patches and dirt in snowshoes just for a little better gription here. Still rather just be in the YakTrax and post-hold a little bit. So different strokes, different folks, but I'm a proponent of YakTrax at all costs unless you have to snowshoe. Like I'm gonna go over to Ray Benson Sno-Park over the next week, and that's thick enough that I will definitely do the snowshoes because you can't do YakTrax there, it's too thick. But here, YakTrax away. And another blowdown. Oh, this obstacle course. So now here's Choose Your Own Adventure. I think the trail's going to the right. I'm too tall to go underneath that. I don't want to climb over that snow. It's not an appealing route directly on the trail. It does appear that this has a little foot traffic over here, so we'll take the circuitous path, meander around it. And we made it, my fellow intrepid adventurers. Went around here. Instead of going over, we went around. Aren't we cunning? And continue along. Now this snow is definitely getting thicker. This is starting to get to the edge limits of YakTrax, keeping it real. Again, I'm still solidly on board that I made the right decision with YakTrax, but just pointing out, you're always compensating one way or the other. There is no perfect alignment, and I'd rather risk occasional minor post-holing and have the mobility of YakTrax over accepting the clunkiness of the snowshoes. So different strokes, different folks, but this is manageable. See, now I got through that one section, I'm flying again. I'm on liftoff mode. I can't even see the trees. I'm going so fast, it's all blur. That's how fast I'm hiking. So we are still, believe it or not, my friends, in that initial 1.3 mile segment. At the very beginning, we're coming up to Junction, leaving the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, and turning right onto Twin Lakes Trail. It's a very short jaunt over to Lower Twin Lake, which is at 4,300 feet. And then I'll make a decision. You can circumnavigate. There is a trail around Twin Lake. It's about 0.7 mile round trip. I definitely recommend doing that in summer. The question is, if nobody's done that, how thick is the snow? So that's gonna give us a good sense of how much snow has actually fallen in this area so far this year. Probably be cumulative. So if there's a foot or two of snow, obviously I'm not gonna do that on my YakTrax. So game time decision if I'm gonna do the 0.7 mile circumnavigating Lower Twin Lake or not. It'll be based on if physically possible will be the determining factor. So TBD. And I do believe we're in the final straightaway before the aforementioned junction. And we are coming up to a sign. Always a good sign, no pun intended. So here is our junction. This is Twin Lakes Trail that way. See that sign there? That's the edge of Mount Hood Wilderness. Different laws governing it. You can see actually on the tree to the left of it, that is the official sign, the threshold of Mount Hood Wilderness. We will be coming back that way. For now, we want to go this way. In the summer, you would just go right here, but in the winter, you want to take the path least resistance. Looks like the traffic pattern is turning over here, so I'm going to walk down here a little bit, turn where traffic flow is. But so here's your Mount Hood Wilderness sign. You see that sign on the tree. It's the threshold. We'll be coming back that way in theory, assuming it's passable. Don't know if people are just going to Lower Twin and out and backing in, or if they're doing the whole loop. So what I will do will partially be dependent on that. So see, by coming down a little bit beyond the actual turn, we are going with the flow of traffic instead of the actual trail. This is much more convenient. So that's kind of an interesting note. There's always the best laid plans, right? Like if you're like me and you're sitting at home on your computer, you're looking at AllTrails, kind of an OCD, fastidious planner. I know, hard to imagine in my case. And you come up with a plan. Okay, I'm gonna go do this. Like my original plan was to come do the 7.3 mile, 1100 foot elevation gain lollipop hike. And I got the energy to do it. I got the footwear to do it in theory, but you never really know till you get here. And part of it is frankly the traffic pattern flow. If I see that everybody's just been going to Lower Twin and turning around out and backing it back, and really nobody or a few people or whatever have actually gone up to the Upper Twin and then gone up to the Junction and done the whole lollipop, then that's a different proposition. Because if the whole trail is like this is super simple. I would do the whole 7.3, 1100 feet elevation gain in a heartbeat, and it wouldn't even get tired. But if that whole upper half has no trail blazed and it's a couple feet of thick snow, now the fact that I pick YakTrax over snowshoes is an issue, because I'm gonna have a much higher burn rate having to break trail in YakTrax for miles. It doesn't sound very fun, frankly, so I probably would alter my plan. So look at that sun peeking through. Oh, that's gorgeous. Good timing. So yeah, so that's the tip, is have plan A, plan B, plan C, and be willing to roll with the punches. Let the established snow traffic patterns partially dictate your route. Yeah, have plan A, plan B, plan C, but don't be so obstinate or stubborn that you have to do plan A that you kind of overshoot the sweet spot of the curve. So if nobody's been going up to Upper Twin and I gotta break trail in order to do it, then I probably won't do it. It's because I'm in YakTrax, not in snowshoes. So I know some people like to have a bag and have their snowshoes and their YakTrax and stop and take them on and put them off and do all that. I don't really like doing that. Kind of breaks the fourth wall for me. I like to just commit to one and go. With the sun peeking through Mount Hood National Forest, here's another one of these blowdowns. It's like the path least resistance just to cut through these little trees here. Looks like this is where the foot traffic goes. So you can detect the path least resistance foot traffic trail and just follow that. Pretty intuitive, not rocket science. I'm really enjoying that sun though, look at that. Peeking through the trees, adding a little light and beauty. And really this is an area, Mount Hood National Forest, is beautiful old growth forest that in that early morning section I was doing when I first got here, it could be a little dark and drab, a little dreary, maybe even a little depressing. But you see how this area just lights up. These trees, when they get the sun, direct sun on them, really kind of come alive, and it's a vibrant light show display of greenness and color, and kind of just brightens up the whole vibe. So I'm instantly starting to feel a little bit more energized. Again, there's the sun peeking through the trees and just kind of amping up this area. And suddenly I had a new spring in my step. Instead of just walking through like a dreary, dark, depressing forest, the world is alive with the sound of music, my friend. Look at that. Oh, that is beautiful. I am a sucker for that morning laser light show that we're experiencing right now, where you get the sideways beams of light and sun on the trees, and kind of shows you all sorts of different shades of green. Like, if you're a responsible wilderness adventurer, you normally start your adventures in the morning, like sunrise-ish, because you don't want to be hiking the cooler part of the day, particularly in summer. It doesn't matter as much in winter, but in summer, if it's going to be 80 or 90 degrees later in the day, you don't want to be climbing a mountain at 80, 90 degrees. That's downright dangerous. So if you're going into Three Sisters Wilderness, Mount Jefferson Wilderness, Mount Washington Wilderness, Waldo Wilderness, you want to be ascending 7, 8, 9 in the morning in the 40, 50, 60 degree weather. So because of that, a feature in the morning is always that first light, and then the laser light show, I call it, of the sun like lighting up the area as you're ascending it. I caught some really good examples of that when I recently did Black Crater Trail at Highway 242 McKenzie Pass area. When I was ascending, I just got lucky. It wasn't intentional, but just ascending this gorgeous area with all these grasses and just this beautiful zone, and then the light hitting it, so it's just magical. Like, it felt special to me, and you only really get that in that one little window while the sun's coming up, and then the sun goes up high in the sky, and it's still pretty in the sun, but it's not, it doesn't hit the same. So it's the little things, right? And you do a lot of hikes, so I always look forward to the morning laser light show as a feature of every hike, and I think you oftentimes get a perspective of the area that you don't get any other time of day. So as I said, it's the little things, my friend. This is all very manageable still by YakTrax. There was that one little section where the snow got a little thicker, kind of on the edge of the limits of the YakTrax, but I post-holed maybe a half dozen times. It wasn't a big deal, and haven't done it again since. So YakTrax still a solid play. This is beautiful. I'll say, if I can't get the tunnel vision snow globe vibe I was hoping for, this is a close second. Like, a gorgeous sunny forest with a forest floor of snow. This is very beautiful. I am digging this. So I'm vibing this big time, my friend. I'm enjoying this. Filling up my soul tank with a little love of nature. Traversing a thicker snow section. Nothing too crazy. Kind of interesting, the little pockets of light. If I pan over, you see the sun's breaking through. It's old growth forest wonderland known as Mount Hood National Forest. So, seeing some diamond sections sparkle of the snow. A lot of the snow, frankly, is what I call dirty snow. Like this little section right here, because the tree debris falls, and people walk over it and trample it as the footpath. It just kind of becomes this brown, dirty clump of snow. But you do have some pristine sections of white that are a little off the trail that sparkle like diamonds. So right now we are in the segment from the Junction with the PCT, where we got on Twin Lakes Trail, which we're on now, to our approach and arrival at Lower Twin Lake, 4,300 foot elevation. And this isn't that long of a segment. It's a beautiful section of old growth Mount Hood National Forest. So we will be at the Junction, which will be to our right shortly. And then we will be at Lower Twin Lake. So any guesses, my friends? Is Lower Twin Lake going to be frozen? Honestly, I don't know. Normally for January 15th, you can bet your bottom dollar that Lower Twin Lake would be frozen, because we would have had solid month plus of like 15, 20, 25, 30 degree lows, and it would have frozen it like an ice skating rink. Not that you should ever walk across it. I would not do that. Do so at your own risk, and I would never do that personally, but you do you. But this year is such a weird snow arc, patches of snow. I'm gonna say I won't be surprised if it's not frozen, which would be a little wild to me, but what do you think? Is it gonna be frozen? We will find out in a few minutes. If your heart's not racing anticipation, then you're not even alive, my friend. I will say there's something here in the air that's like activating my sinuses, getting very congested. A little unusual for winter, but personally I'm one of these people that's inflicted with severe environmental allergies. Not a good luck of the draw for somebody who likes wilderness adventuring like I do. It's one of their primary hobbies. In fact, it's the opposite of an optimal alignment. I love to hike, but my Achilles heel isn't even my stamina. I can drop 20 miles, no problem. It's the allergies that get me. That's only as strong as your weakest link, and that's actually always the worst part for me is my nose starts horribly running every time I go on a hike. But we all have our albatross, our crosses to bear. At the end of the day, I still really enjoy it. It doesn't detract from it for me. Overall experience. We're at that Peekaboo Phase, my friend, there to the right, where I do believe our close, trusty friend, Lower Twin Lake, is right over there, beyond yonder, beckoning us to come hither. So, as I post hole a few times and slide, slippity slide. See some prints. I assume those are people's dogs and not bear. Bears should be hibernating. All right, fellas, you guys are hibernating, right? Oh yeah, I got two claws up. They're all hibernating. We're good. So we're coming up to the junction here on the right momentarily. But I feel good that I'm sensing the lake to our a la derecha, to our right. We are entering a particularly beautiful little section. Stop, pan back here. See the epicos, see the old growthness. And sometimes you get in what I call an angel singing section, which is what I would call this, where you kind of come around a little corner and all of a sudden just the area opens up and feels beautiful and special. So that's where we're at now. Oh, and now look at this. The snow is more pristine for whatever reason. We are banking right here. The sun peeking through the trees ever so. Still early enough in the morning, I think it's in the 9 o'clock hour, that still have a little bit of a darkness here in Mountain National Forest. Old growth wonderland of splendor. And it does kind of feel, we came around that corner, got that angel singing vibe, and all of a sudden for some reason it feels more beautiful. I don't know what it is. Oh man, this is gorgeous. I'm really enjoying this section. Something about it. Getting the proper winter wonderland vibes now. We might not have had that earlier, but we're getting it now. Keep feeling a little bit of condensation moisture land on my face. I don't know if that's just from the trees or if it's actually actively precipitating on any level, but it's very refreshing. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look at this, my friend. Look at this. I feel like we're hitting the pocket now. This is exactly what I was envisioning when I imagined this winter adventuring experience in my mind's eye. This is really beautiful. I am enjoying this. I am becoming a happy camper. That's the way we came from. We actually have snow on the trees. Oh, I'm loving this. This is exactly what I was imagining. I am a happy adventurer. And we're coming up to a critical junction. Straight is up to Upper Twin Lake. Looks like there is some foot traffic. That is encouraging. To the right here, the signage, this is to Lower Twin Lake, our first stop on our tour. So you see it says Upper Twin Lake 1 mile that way. That is that way. Looks like we will be going that way next. Barlow Pass, that is the Sno-Park at the end of PCT. We're not going that far, no reason to. Also, you can do Frog Lake Butte beyond the lake. We're not going up there because I'm sure the trail hasn't been broken. So we'll be coming back to this junction going up there. Kind of funny, I heard a bunch of snow behind me falling, and I thought it was like a animal or something, but no, it's just a little snow coming off the branches. This is definitely a steep section, which is icy. I don't think you can even get down this safely without YakTrax or snowshoes. Got my YakTrax, as previously mentioned. And here we are, my friends. We are approaching the beautiful, spectacular, looks like frozen Lower Twin Lake. Let's go look at this. We will go right up to the shoreline, to the very edge of our frozen friend. Now, I am not a person by policy that ever walks on frozen lakes, so I'm not going to try to walk across it. I think that is foolhardy and dangerous, and if I broke through, I would almost certainly die. I'm the only one here. Got hypothermia in minutes. Juice isn't worth the squeeze, my friend, so I will only be going up to the edge, and I would not recommend anybody else ever go out in the middle of the lake, but if you ever do so, not my recommendation. Do so at your own risk. Oh man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Look at this. We have reached another level of this hike. That right there is the trail around Lower Twin Lake, so hopefully we can do that. We'll see if it's blades all the way around. But look at this. Look at this. You can literally see right here, this little lip right here is the edge of glory. That is the lake right there. You can see the water. That is the lake. And look at this, my friend. You can make out the silhouette of the lake right there. You can really stand here and admire how absolutely beautiful this is. This is absolutely awesome. And look at the frozen silhouette, the sheet of ice covered in a dusting of snow of the beautiful Lower Twin Lake. This is one of the crown jewels of this Frog Lake Sno-Park area. Right here, smack dab in the middle of old growth National Forest Wonderland known as Mount Hood. And we're right on the edge, the perimeter of the lake, right on the shoreline. In the summer, that would be gentle crashing waves, but instead it is frozen ice. How thick, I cannot say, and I do not endeavor to find out. I gotta say, I feel like I'm standing smack dab in the middle of a winter wonderland. This is exactly what I was hoping for when I embarked on this winter adventure. You got snow on these old growth Mount Hood National Forest trees. You know, this beautiful primrose path leading you all the way to the absolutely beautiful Lower Twin Lake. Oh, this is gorgeous. Oh man, this is beautiful. I'm digging this, my friend. Okay, so this is Critical Junction here at Lower Twin Lake on the shoreline. We just came from that way, descended off the main Twin Lakes Trail. That way is Shoreline. Here's obviously Lower Twin Lake. Here's a shoreline access point, probably the first one you'll stop at when you arrive here at splendid Lower Twin Lake and all its frozen magic. And then here is the continuation of the Shoreline Trail. So I am going to try to circumnavigate this bad boy. It's 0.7 miles. I don't know if there's a matted down, blazed, broken trail all the way around or if it's just on this side of the perimeter, but we will find out. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. This is a winter wonderland, Lower Twin Lake in all its magic, its frozen splendor. Look at this. Look at this, my friend. There's our critical junction. Here's our frozen lake. Here's our shoreline trail. And we got another very high quality premium access point of the lake right here. Where exactly the lake is, I think it's right there where the freeze starts on the other side of these footprints. So I probably wouldn't walk any farther than 3 feet in front of me because I don't want to fall in the lake, my friend. But nevertheless, look how beautiful this is. Can interest you in a winter wonderland, my friend? Oh, this is gorgeous. Can interest you in a frozen lake? I'm gonna keep going this way. Really digging this. I mean, look at this, my friend. Look at this. This is magical. You got frozen lake just a few feet in front of me, and then you pan up and you got this majestic display. Sun's coming out. It's a 9 o'clock hour, 9 a.m.-ish, January 15, 2026. Perfect conditions, bluebird day, high 47, low of 36. YakTrax here, 7.3 miles, 1100 foot elevation gain. It's a lot of nomenclature and stats. And look back here. This is the way we came from. Oh man, this is beautiful. I am digging this zone, my friend. I'm digging this. This is one of the payoffs of this hike. You got Lower Twin Lake and Upper Twin Lake, and this is Lower Twin Lake. So worth when you come over here to maybe stop and hang out here for a few minutes and enjoy the frozen lake. How often do you get to hang out next to a frozen lake? Not that often, my friend. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is really beautiful, in fact. Magic. Look at that. Look at the sun coming out. Oh man, that's beautiful. The sun's peeking out over the old growth National Forest, Mount Hood, Wonderland. Oh, this is beautiful. I am digging it. There's something magical standing here in the shoreline of Lower Twin Lake. I'm here at Mount Hood National Forest, old growth forest Wonderland. And look at this incredible beauty. You got the sun peeking between the branches of these gorgeous trees. You got the diamond sparkle of Lower Twin Lake. Looks like somebody threw a handful of diamonds out there on the lake. The glimmer, the shimmer, the shine, the sparkle. Wow, this, my friend, is absolutely beautiful. As we leave frozen Lower Twin Lake, still being blinded by the glisten, the shimmer, the sparkle, the shine, the diamonds. Let's head on back over to Twin Lakes Trail. So this is a magical zone. There's a lot of shoreline access on the side of Lower Twin Lake. A lot of really gorgeous mini shots. If you come in the morning, you can time it so the sun is just peeking over the trees, and it's really magical. Kind of a laser light show display. As I said, these sparkle. Lower Twin Lake. Here's kind of your central junction, your hub. The shoreline trail is not broken all the way around. I did part of it, but don't really feel like breaking trail, and I think it's diminishing returns, so I did not do the full 0.7 mile loop. And there is also Frog Butte, but that was not broken at all. Nobody goes up there in winter, so I wasn't going to break trail in the YakTrax. Juice wouldn't be the worst the squeeze on that, my friend. So now we are sending back up to our main trail, Twin Lakes Trail. Again, this is a section you absolutely need traction control because this is a sheet of ice. This would literally be like impossible with just boots. You would be on all fours. But with YakTrax, you don't even notice it. Definitely having snow come down on me. It's got hit in the noggin. And here's our main trail. We came down to the access Lower Twin Lake. And here is our trail sign. going up this way towards Upper Twin Lake. It's called Upper Twin Lake, but you don't really gain that much elevation. Lower Twin was at 4,300, Upper Twin's at 4,400, so I'm sure you can even do that without a calculator. So, head on up. And we're gonna hike through the forest for a little bit from Lower Twin Lake to Upper Twin Lake. Ooh, look at the sun peeking through that old growth forest magic right there. Love the shades of green. Old growth trees are lighting up. That's a beautiful display right there, my friend. Just try not to post hole on the trail. Snow's thicker from Lower Twin to Upper Twin. I am discovering in real time. I do feel like my YakTrax are up for the job. I just have to accept there's going to be a higher post hole per step ratio in this segment. The sun peeking through the trees. Here's where we just came from. Bit of a steep cliff to our left. So we want to make sure you got traction control. This is slippery. Doesn't feel too sketch, but you don't want to slip when you're near the edge of a ledge. And continue to walk around here. So in that patchy snow mix distribution. So right now we are in the 0.7 mile segment to Upper Twin Lake. So we made it to beautiful Upper Twin Lake with the sun peeking through this magical old growth forest wonderland. Here's our Twin Lakes Trail little sign. And here we are on the shoreline of beautiful Upper Twin Lake. Oh, this is gorgeous. It's not as big as Lower Twin Lake, but it does boast a mountain view. You got that marshmallow white pop snow blanketed tip of Mount Hood. Beyond yonder on the other side of those trees, not a full mountain summit view, but just a little bit of a tip. Very beautiful. Lower does not have any mountain views. Look at how beautiful Upper Twin Lake is, my friend. I do think candidly out of the two, the lower is the more beautiful, but my viewpoint is if you're pot committed this far into the hike, you might as well come up and take a gander at Lower's best friend, Upper. This, my friend, is absolutely gorgeous.